Welcome to the Holistic Success Show. I'm Elizabeth Lozano.
And I'm Dr. Robert Puff. Today we're going to have a guest talking about healthy TV.
Dr. Puff is going to be teaching us about how to adjust to change as well as healing from tragedies.
And a question from you about how to stay motivated with exercise.
Another question is about how to teach our children to eat healthy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show.
I'd like to offer you something that I think will really help you with life and make your life go better. Life is change, but what we want so often is we want it to stay permanent. And when you want something to be permanent that is guaranteed to change, you're going to suffer. So it isn't that some things do stay the same. You may be in a relationship that lasts for 30, 40 years. Your children may be there throughout your life. But sometimes, and often in life, things don't work out the way we plan them to, because life is constantly in a state of change. There's a saying that goes, the only thing permanent in life is change. Our bodies are changing, our life situations are changing. Everything is changing on a regular basis. Like I said, some things stay, but when you have something that's changing, perhaps again some part of your body is starting to ache more, or you have a disability, or you used to be a runner and now you have to be a walker, if you fight that, you will suffer. And that suffering is really created within your head here. You don't have to suffer. Because if you flow with life, life goes so much better. And when you fight life, you just are going to suffer. It's going to be hard for you. So understanding how life is change, how life is impermanent, can really help you say, I would like this to happen. You set goals and you work towards goals. Because goals help you succeed, and this is called the Holistic Success Show. But you need to be able to adjust your goals as life situations change. You may have wanted children, and for whatever reason, the universe didn't give you children. So what do you do with that? How do you adjust to that change? Lots of things in life you have expectations for, but they don't work out the way you plan. So if you do your best to prepare, but when things work out differently and it's over, this is what you have been given, then go with that, flow with that, and be happy with that, and life will go better. And I want to just share more of a positive example that happened in my life once that may help illustrate this. When I was in graduate school, I had been accepted at the Arizona State University, but I also really wanted to go to Princeton on the East Coast, but they put me on a waiting list because they were full. I applied there late, so they couldn't get me in. And so I got the ASU. I was given my own office because I was going to be a TA. I was going to be a teacher's assistant. My classes were all set, and I think it was a Thursday, and Monday classes started. Well, that Thursday, Princeton gave me a call and said, hey, guess what? We had an opening, and we'd love to have you come here. So I said, wow. A lot of things had to happen for that to work. So I said two things. I had two things. If ASU was comfortable letting me go, and if Princeton could come together to get the finances for me, because I didn't have any money, so they could come together with the finances, I'll go there. And I went to the dean, and he was totally fine with me going to Princeton, and Princeton came up with the money. And that Monday, I drove off to the East Coast to go to school on the East Coast instead of staying at ASU. So life creates change, and if you flow with it, it can go really well. So I encourage you not to fight life, but to flow with life and be at peace.
This week's first question is by Janet M. in Detroit, Michigan. I sit at my job all day, and when I get home, the last thing I want to do is exercise. How can I get more motivated?
Janet, I think one skill I can give you to help get you more motivated to exercise at the end of the day is make some changes throughout the day. What's happening right now is you have a sedentary job where you're not moving, and then you get home and you want your body to change. Far better would be throughout the day to exercise while you're at work. And you may ask me, how do you do that? Well, for example, during your breaks, instead of just sitting or going to the bathroom, go for a walk. Particularly when you have your lunch break, go for a walk and get some exercise. You can even stand up and maybe squeeze your muscles back and forth and do some twists and turns. Stand up and touch your toes. There's many things you can do throughout the day. So now your body is becoming more limber, becoming healthy throughout the day. So then when you get home, to have, it won't be such a drastic change. So when you get home, it's going to be much more easy just to go on and continue to exercise. And at first I would recommend doing something simple like walking. Walking is such a beautiful exercise. It's not difficult. Even if it's rainy, you could walk in a circle in some part of your home, or take an umbrella with you, or if it's snowing wherever you live. The point is, make it easy, make it simple, and work towards it on a regular basis. And what you'll find is that will, as you change in little ways, you'll find that your body will get accustomed to that, and you're going to find it much more easy to be motivated at the end of the day to exercise.
And Janet, I think it's really important to acknowledge what you're telling yourself, because I think you were asking about the motivation part of it. And we can really get in our heads and really be really negative to ourselves. And sometimes that negativity, even the one that might be saying something awful to ourselves, like you're fat, you're never going to get to where you want to be, you can't fit into your old clothes, look at you, because we do have that negative self-talk, that can actually get in the way. Sometimes we think that it can actually motivate us, but I would check that out, because oftentimes there's that part of us that says, forget about it, I'm going to go eat a Twinkie now, or I'm going to go drink or do something that actually isn't good for you and may actually be contributing to your weight gain if that's what's going on for you. But just know that little steps, little ones that you take, and doing it for your health, increasing your energy, making it about that. And I also encourage you to limit the amount of time that you're spending reading and looking at things with maybe people that are what you're trying to look like. I think it's really great to have a motivation to say, I would like to be this way or whatever. But when we look, even myself, if I'm always looking at these pictures of these models, it makes me feel bad. I don't need to feel that way. That doesn't motivate me. Feeling bad doesn't motivate me. Feeling good motivates me. Be around positive people, watch healthy things, listen to healthy things, take your time, take slow breaks, little baby steps really make a difference.
So may you exercise, may you have a healthy life, and may you be encouraged and changed in very healthy but progressively better ways.
We wish you all the best, and thank you. I'd like to welcome this week's guest, Robert Schnitzer. He's the founder and president of Oasis TV, the premier 24/7 body, mind, spirit channel, available through the U.S. on Charter, Cox, and Time Warner Cable. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yes.
Great to be here.
Can you tell us about this Oasis TV that you have and how you started it?
Well, yes, Oasis TV started as far back as 1996. That's when the idea occurred to me for the first time. And initially we were online. We were the first streaming cable network with real networks up in Seattle and Microsoft MSN in Seattle as well. And then 5 years ago we went back to our original roots, which was television, and we were on Time Warner Cable in Los Angeles for 4 or 5 years. And this year, 2010, we begin nationwide coverage with Cox and Charter in 51 cities throughout the country, soon to be on Dish Network and AT&T as well.
Okay, now I understand that Oasis TV is really about the body, mind, spirit, which is
Yes.
a really different type of network. Can you talk
Yes.
about that and kind of why you felt the need to create something like that?
Well, it's been a personal interest of mine for many, many years, since I was 17 or 18. And from that period in my life until the time I started Oasis, I was pretty much in the motion picture business as an independent director and producer and writer of independent feature films. And then I decided to make a career change, go from motion pictures to television, and to do something that really reflected my personal values, which is body, mind, spirit, because I feel that it's the quickest, most accessible way to find meaning and purpose in today's world, which a lot of people desperately need.
Yes, there's not a lot of that out there. I see shows here and there, and we have produced this show, which is, the holistic
Very
success.
refreshing. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
But we don't see a lot of, networks even, or on your channel, the channels that you actually have lots of different shows that are about health and wellness and all of those things. Can you talk about
Yes.
some of these things that you've pulled together in creating this? Is it a network? Would that be correct?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a cable network.
Can you talk about the kind of programs that you've pulled together?
Yes, they span the genres of metaphysics, non-religious spirituality, world peace, visionary art, earth changes, love, sex, and relationships, and personal growth. So it's the whole spectrum of what's come to be known as body, mind, spirit.
You talked about your earlier experiences and kind of how that has led you to where you are now in creating this network.
Yes.
What called to you to create this? What exactly kind of went on inside of you that says, wow, we really need something like this? Because I can sit here and say, obviously I had the same feeling because we
Yes.
created the show, but what went on within your own world to create something like this?
Well, as I say, I've personally been into this subject matter since I was 17 or 18. I went on in my sort of the transition from high school to college, I went on a vision quest one time for a weekend.
What is a vision quest?
A vision quest is a process whereby you put yourself in a wilderness area. In this case, it was the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, the Smoky Mountain region as well. And you go out into this wilderness and you're away from civilization for hour after hour after hour. You just have some water. I went with some friends, and something happens if you're lucky. I mean, this is if the vision quest works, and in my case, it worked more than I thought it would. And you begin to, I guess in the vernacular, you begin to commune with nature, and you begin to, and certain portals in your mind start to open up that were shut originally, and reinforced by our culture to remain shut. But I think the infusion of the environment, the silence, the rustling of the trees, the movement of the wind, the Native Americans say things come to you in the wind, and it started to actually speak to me. And by the end of that day, which was like an 18-hour day, by the time I returned to the campsite with the friends I went with, I was, in a sense, a transformed person. And I realized that there's more to reality than our senses tell us, and that perhaps the key to happiness is to open your mind to those other levels and listen to what the message is. And it's a very simple message. It's the same message in every spiritual tradition. It goes down to the golden rule. It goes down to that we're all in this together, that we're all brothers and sisters. And I sort of reduced it down because I don't like to waste time. So I sort of reduced it down to 2 words, which is be nice. That's it. Be nice. Even the golden rule.
To yourself and to others.
Yes. Everything that be nice means. Be nice to yourself, health-wise, mentally, and with your interaction with the world, to be nice. Buddhists say, loving kindness, be filled with loving kindness. That has a lot of syllables. I like be nice.
I like that.
Yeah, so we're the Be Nice Network.
Well,
Yes.
I think people, and part of what we teach, because people can sometimes be very good at giving to others and being nice to others, but they often forget to start here, which actually
That's a
enables
great
us
point.
to do a lot more. It's like filling our cup up first. You're
Yes.
actually able to give a whole lot more. And
Yes.
and I think that's such an important message.
It is, and again, there are cultural forces that are that sort of navigate us away from that in terms of diet and health and genetic manipulation of the food supply and so forth. We could go on and on. I don't think there's enough time for that, and so many other institutions that are have flipped our culture on its head. Politicians don't, representatives don't represent, bankers, suddenly it's not the robbers robbing the bank, it's the bankers robbing the
Yeah.
customer. All these things are flipping on their head, and so it's nice to be able to turn on the TV or go to a website and hear the wisdom of our contemporary, and also we have an archive of a lot of teachers that have passed away over the years, imparting their vision of being nice to yourself and being nice to others, which I think is ultimately what's going to get us through this process to a new age of happiness and world peace.
I also wanted to say, when you were talking about your
Yes.
vision quest, it reminded me
Yes.
a lot of what some people experience when they meditate. It was a sense of silence that you had, and when some people can kind of get into
Yes.
that place.
Same
Think
thing.
about that.
It's tapping from the same source. Exactly. Exactly. And just to finish your original question of, so that was when I was 17 or 18. And then I was in the movie business, directing, writing, producing, packaging, feature films, the whole spectrum of media in every regard. I was a student also of Marshall McLuhan. I studied with him for a while, and he was a great influence. And then, about 12, 14 years ago, I decided to make this transition. I sort of burnt out from the entertainment business. I felt I'd done as much as I could in terms of making our audience laugh and cry. It became too much of a distraction from the issues of our culture that I saw brewing, and of course now we're exploding, the whole issue of perpetual war and so forth. And so I decided, hey, why isn't there a Body, Mind, Spirit network on television? So I reconfigured the company that was making regular entertainment type movies to be this cable network, and it's been quite a journey ever since. And I'm very grateful for the growth we're experiencing.
And if people want to find out more about Oasis TV, how can they do that?
OasisTV.com.
Wonderful.
That's simple.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
Same here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth.
Sometimes in life, tragedy is going to strike. It may strike you today, it may have already struck you, or may happen in the future. And I want to perhaps give you some tools to help you with that when it happens. And let me share a story as a way to illustrate how you can grow. There was a woman many, many years ago called Kim, and she came to me because she was severely depressed. Suicidally depressed. She wanted to die. And what I found out was, I think it was 6 months or a year earlier, she had a son. He was like probably a year old, and it was her first son, and she was so excited to have him. And she was on the phone, and he was taking a nap, and she was talking, and she was just talking to a friend, and she didn't check on him, but he was taking a nap. It wasn't a big deal. But when she got off the phone, went back there, he had died. He had died in the cribs, and they consider it SIDS that he died of, which is sudden infant death syndrome. And what she did with that, because it was horrible, she just totally blamed herself. She hated herself for what she did. She actually came up with a song that she sang in her head all day long. I'm a child killer. I killed my son. Just horrible self-blame things. She hated herself and blamed herself for her son dying. She had a tragedy, and she took it on and said, "This is my fault." And she despised herself. So what I did with her, I said, "Well, that isn't working." And she agreed it wasn't working. So we talked about, she obviously did her best. To talk on your phone wasn't abnormal. So we talked about that. I said, well, now it's time to heal. You need to heal about what happened. So I had her go to her son's grave, and she went there many times, just talked to him, how much she really missed him, and got her sadness out, not her hatred towards herself, but her sadness out. She told him she was very sorry. And she had a relationship with God, so she talked about God, why did he have to take her son, and just expressed her feelings. And that was very helpful for her too. And what she was able to do was she was able to take that tragedy, which was horrible, of course, and heal from it, and then move on. And thankfully later she was able to have another child, and she's been doing well. But she could have her whole life been stuck there with that tragedy, because sometimes tragedies strike us. And we have an option when they hit. We have an option to heal from them, or we have an option to stay stuck in them. And it's very important to heal, because if you don't heal, the tragedy doesn't go away. It just eats at you. It's like having a poison in your body. It eats at you and eats at you until you're psychologically and spiritually decay. So when something hits, heal. This shows Elizabeth and I are giving you tools to heal, to be healthy holistically. So apply them, heal, and no matter how tragic it is, I really want to say to you, you can heal from it. Peace.
This week's second question is from Jody P. in Newport Beach, California. We eat very healthy at home, and I don't provide processed sugary foods. However, when we go to parties, my children gravitate towards the junk food. What can I do?
Jody, that really is a good question, because I think a lot of parents want their kids to be healthy. This is a holistic success show, and we're about holistic health. And you do want your children to be healthy. But I want to share a little secret about children that really is helpful for them. When you raise them, you want to expose them to healthy things. You want to model healthy things. But you don't want to be too rigid. because that makes children almost gravitate towards things. Because if there's too much rigidity, they say, I want that. It's almost like the forbidden fruit, like an Adam and Eve story. They want it so badly that they're going to go after it. And as an example to support that, research has shown that teetotalers have a much higher propensity of children being alcoholics than parents that drink a little bit. And so with food, it's really the same way. It's wonderful to have your children at home provided with very healthy food. You want to do that. But when they go out, you kind of want to relax and almost be relaxed with them and say, this is an event. This is like dessert. Sometimes you have dessert. If dessert becomes your main course, obviously you're going to be unhealthy. But having dessert once in a while, there's nothing wrong with that. And almost making it kind of fun and exciting. And then they'll see that balance. They'll see, oh, I mostly eat healthy. Once in a while, I indulge in things that aren't that great for me. And I think having that there will really be healthy and good for your children. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think that it's really important for kids to be able to still have a little bit of the good stuff too. Well, I guess it's not so good for you, but the sweet stuff is what I should say. At those parties, if you notice, that's all that's there. And can you imagine being a child and everybody else is gravitating towards that food because they're all excited about it. And mind you, they might be running 10 times faster than they would have. But imagine being that child who doesn't get to have any. And I know it might be nice for you, you would wish that your child wouldn't go there, but he or she is doing just the same thing that the other kids are doing. And I think Dr. Puff is right in saying that if you were to say no, 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 he's going to try and start to sneak it and may actually get more of it than you realize. Because once he goes to school or goes whatever, you don't know what he's putting in his mouth. You may hope that he's only eating what you sent him to school with, but chances are if he never has anything of any little bit of sweet, he's going to sneak his way or trade his lunch with somebody else, or maybe not trade his lunch, but get something from one of his friends, and he's going to be getting those sweets that you so forbid. So just be aware and let him have at least a little bit when he gets to go to those parties.
And Jody, I've actually found that to be true with my children. They really do enjoy sweets, but we very much limit them, and they're very healthy children. They do really well, but we let them have treats when they're out, and it makes it fun for them.
Yeah, and then they become just that, treats. So thank you so much for your question. This week's quote is from one of my favorite movies, Kung Fu Panda, and there's a very wise tortoise named Master Ugwai in the movie. Now, the quote is originally from a man in Nigeria, and excuse my pronunciation, but his name is Babatunde Alatunji. And the quote is, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift, that is why they call it the present. So be here now." Thank you for joining us on the Holistic Success Show. If you'd like to be kept up to date on all the wonderful and new things that we're doing, please subscribe to our website, and we'll also throw in a free copy of one of our ebooks for you.
And if you have a company or organization who would like to have us come speak with you, please visit our website for more information.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.